What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. I wanted to talk about some recent comic book releases as well as the upcoming Book of Boba Fett and some of the articles that are being written about it, about what the content's going to look like, how that's going to affect some of the comic books that are key for Boba Fett, as well as maybe some of the other series moving forward. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a few CGC graded Star Wars comics that I've picked up over the last few months that I just haven't gotten around to showing to you on the channel. And one of them relates to this guy. And this is a character within the expanded universe canon. And I mentioned him a couple of months ago. I said you might want to start thinking about picking up the comic books related to this guy, because I have a feeling that he's going to be coming back with the Book of Boba Fett. And sure enough, Prince Xizor is back within Star Wars canon. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Prince Xizor, he is from the Shadows of the Empire novel series from the 1990s. And it's, the story does not age very well, quite truthfully. And that's mentioned in this article. It's not like it's something new. But Prince Xizor, he's the leader of the Black Sun crime syndicate. And he's a Faline prince, and he's pretty ruthless. And in general, he's a really cool villain. And he really doesn't show up much in terms of action figures. There's really only the Power of the Force 2 Shadows of the Empire figure that was available on a single card, as well as most notably on a 2-pack that came with Darth Vader with a comic book behind it. And that promotional comic is very tough to find in high grade. And but anyway, Prince Xizor is a pretty cool character. He and Vader don't like each other very much within the books. He had like an infatuation with Leia Organa, and the book doesn't age well. But him as a villain is great. I mean, he was really great, reading. But anyway, the reason I bring him up is because Crimson Reign, which is another recent comic series released by Marvel Comics that I've talked about in past videos, and I said, hey, you might want to look at this. In the first issue, Prince Xizor is mentioned, and it's the first time that Prince Xizor is mentioned in Star Wars canon within the Marvel universe and the current, Disney universe. And so it's just a matter of time, I think, before we see Prince Xizor, make an appearance in the live-action shows. And the last time was in all of these articles, again, like usual, I'll put in the video description in case you want to read it. But Star Wars comics have brought back Prince Xizor, ruler of the criminal empire Black Sun, and one of the most important villains in the old expanded universe. And his first official tie-in novel, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, was published in 1978. That's related to how Star Wars was kind of first being expanded beyond the movies, beyond the kind of the movie trilogy. And so they kind of already back in 1978, they expanded into, what's going on behind the scenes that you don't see in the movies. And from there, it really blew up in the 1990s after, the original trilogy was done. How could Lucasfilm continue to make money on Star Wars? And, the 1990s were a dark time for action figure collectors. There's really, from, let's call it 85 to 95, there was nothing, right? And then in 1995, the Power of the Force 2 line came out, and Shadows of the Empire, was a really important, a really important kind of book trilogy. And I just had a feeling about Prince Xizor. I don't know why. I just thought that he would make a perfect kind of reintroduction into Star Wars canon. And I noticed that they were bringing Dirge back, the bounty hunter, from from the old comics, from the old Dark Horse days. And so I started exploring. I was like, well, who are some of the other villains that could make an appearance, kind of be reintroduced as characters within the universe? And he made a lot of sense. And so here is where they reference Prince Xizor within the new Crimson Reign comic that just came out. You can see Qi'Ra from Han Solo, the Solo, a Star Wars story. She's kind of the main protagonist within the Crimson Reign series, and kind of her battles, but to kind of control Crimson Dawn, the criminal organization. And you can see, please pass it along to Prince Xizor. with compliments from Crimson Dawn. So Crimson Dawn is, you know, obviously a competing criminal organization, and you know, it's just really, really cool that they decided to bring him back. And so going to Crimson Reign now, which again just came out. Crimson Reign #1, as a number of subscribers on the channel, Thomas Hogan most notably, he said, hey, you need to start looking at Crimson Reign #1. I haven't gotten any of these yet because I'm just kind of overloaded with books. I think what I'm going to do personally is wait for a lot of other people to get them graded, and once they start reappearing on eBay, I think that's probably where I'll probably pick some of these up. But I wanted to show you Crimson Reign #1 because there's a bunch of first appearances in there beyond the first appearance of Prince Xizor, the first mention of Prince Xizor within Marvel canon. There's a first full appearance of Imra Vex, Bright, Seer, Mirinda, and the Archivist. It's just there's a bunch of first appearances, either bounty hunters or other kind of key, you know, side characters. And so that's in Crimson Reign #1. We're going to look at some of the variants in a second. Star Wars Crimson Reign #2, which is just coming out this month. That is teaming up Ochia Bestoon and Deathstick, which is another recent bounty hunter that has kind of been made to be a fairly important character. And I think that there's a good chance that we see both of those characters either in The Mandalorian or, you know, or in the Book of Boba Fett coming up. So, but anyway, in terms of Crimson Reign, the 1 in 25 variant has the Sabak card. I don't know how you pronounce Sabak card game with Qi'Ra as one of the cards. That's the 1 in 25 variant. The 1 in 50 variant is this one. That's probably my favorite cover, other than the store exclusive that we're going to show you in a second. But it's got Deathstick here. It's got Qi'Ra, Vader, a bunch of, I guess, TIE defenders is my guess there. Luke and Leia. You got Dr. Aphra. It's just an awesome cover. Just an awesome cover. So that 1 in 50, I expect to go up, you know, a lot in value. The high prices on it already are $100. That's for a raw copy. So you can expect for a CGC 9.8, I would think you're going to be pushing $150 to $200 for the 1 in 50 ratio variant. The other variant that I've talked about already in a different video is this one. This is the Marco Turini variant, and that has Vader on that cover. It's a store exclusive limited print run, and in the reflection you can see some of the new bounty hunters that are being introduced. Seer, and I don't know who the other one is. I haven't looked it up. But here are some of the other covers that they're not even shown in Key Collector, but a number of these other covers for Crimson Reign #1. And I think that this Turini variant that you can see here, this is the variant cover A that has the trade dress on there. This is the Virgin cover. Me personally, I'd like to get this one, the Virgin cover, as well as the 1 in 50, the Cummings variant 1 in 50 cover that we just talked about. So, but anyway, I do think that long term, this Crimson Reign #1, the more that comes out about it and all the details that are in that book, between Prince Xizor's first appearance, or first reintroduction into Marvel canon, Star Wars canon, along with all the other first appearances that are in that book, it just makes a lot of sense to load up on that one if you want to. But I'm just going to pick up 1 or 2 9.8s is my guess, but I can imagine I'm going to be paying quite a bit more than where they were for, you know, original cover price. Again, Prince Xizor, his first appearance in all of comics was in Star Wars Shadows of the Empire #1. And again, that's the first appearance of Prince Xizor. It's the first cover appearance of Dash Rendar. I believe it's also the first cameo within the comics of Dash Rendar. Dash Rendar's first full comic appearances is in issue #2. But anyway, after Prince Xizor was mentioned in Crimson Reign issue #1, look at what the number of sales have done. Is the number of copies sold this week were up 1,100%. So you could expect this book to appreciate pretty well. I did get this in a Comic Link auction, a CGC 9.8. I paid $140 for it, which at the time, I mean, I knew that I was getting a great deal on it, because even back then, before Prince Xizor was reintroduced into Marvel canon, it was usually about a $200 to $225 book. So I got it for 140 something. I think it was 141 on Comic Link, and I was really excited about it. I haven't shown it on the channel. At the end of the video, I'll show you that one along with a couple of other ones, including a vintage issue that I haven't shown on my channel yet. But that's really it for Prince Xizor. I'm just bringing him up because it's exciting news, and I can't believe that my prediction actually came true. It's something that I talked about in past videos, and for it to actually happen is pretty cool. So the other thing I want to talk about is the Book of Boba Fett, and there's been a number of articles that I'll also again mention. I'll include these in the description below, but they are going to fill in Boba Fett's backstory in terms of how he escaped from the Sarlacc pit, and we already saw in the trailer him in a Bacta tank. And let's see if we can find that picture. I don't know if I can find that or not, but here it is right here. This is him inside the Bacta tank. So you know that they're going to be showing how he survived that whole ordeal of getting out of the Sarlacc pit that he fell into in Return of the Jedi, and the concept of how he takes over Jabba's crime syndicate. I think will be really interesting. We've already seen a number of interviews from the actress that plays Fennec Shand, and how she mentions it's going to be kind of a Godfather-esque type of role for Boba Fett in the show. So I think that the exploration of the criminal underworld is really being hinted at between the Crimson Reign comic series, the War of the Bounty Hunters book that kind of reintroduced and kind of talked about Boba Fett and his expansion into Jabba's kind of underworld of different criminals. All of that will be tying in, but I do think it's kind of cool that they're going to be looking at his escape from the Sarlacc pit, and it's something we've already talked about in the past. It seems like Star Wars number 81 is what the market thinks is going to be referenced on how he escaped from the Sarlacc pit. The prices have gone through the stratosphere. I picked mine up for about $500. Since then, 2 other copies have sold. One on November 28th for $789, which I already talked about in another video. And then on December 1st, another one sold for $840. And these are just for the direct editions. These are not the newsstand editions. It's just the direct editions. So those prices to me are a little bit crazy. And as I talked about in past videos, I would be patient and wait for kind of season 1 to kind of roll down. If you're looking for that book, just wait until season 1's over. I guarantee you that book will be back to $500 at the most. I mean, I think I was overpaying at $500, but if that's a book you want to get, it certainly is an amazing cover. But paying $800 to $850 for this book, I think is a little bit ridiculous. I just don't think it's worth spending that money. And the other one that I'd be really surprised if some of the details from this comic are not incorporated into the Book of Boba Fett. Again, we've talked about that Star Wars Dark Empire number 4. That's also a Dark Horse Comics book. And, Prince Xizor was a Dark Horse Comics book also. So clearly Marvel and Lucasfilm and Disney, they're not afraid to pull from Dark Horse Comics since they brought back Prince Xizor, right? So to me, it's a no-brainer to consider this other book, which is Dark Empire number 4 from 1993-ish. And there's 3 different versions of this book. The most expensive is going to be the gold foil edition. You can see the Star Wars label. It has a gold foil finish on it. That one, there's one right now listed for $330, which I think is probably high. There's also a silver foil. That one is a little bit less expensive. It's called the Platinum Edition. I don't know which one's produced in fewer numbers. I would imagine the Platinum Edition is probably, I don't know. I would assume that one's probably about the same as the gold, but I looked at the census, which we'll look at in a second, and I couldn't find the breakdown for those 2 books. But this one is listed for $390, but another one just sold for under $200. That was the exact same book, the Platinum Edition 9.8 grade. But those are a couple of data points for ones that are currently available for sale right now. The regular edition is very, relatively less expensive. This one is dated for April 1992, whereas these are a little bit later. This one's April 92, but this one I thought was, this was March of 93. So the gold foil came out a little bit later than the Platinum and the regular edition. So if I had to guess, I would say that the Platinum Edition is probably the most expensive, but who knows? But anyway, this one is just the regular edition, and this one regularly sells anywhere from $90 to $110. This seller has 4 of them still available. 7 of them have sold free shipping, $104. So not hard to find this one, but this one's a pretty easy find. But it says on the CGC label, as I've talked about in past videos, Boba Fett explains how he survived the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. So, I would think that this book has potential if especially Disney pulls from that, or pulls some of the details from that book in the Book of Boba Fett. Here's some other kind of price points from ones that have sold. Here's that silver one that sold. That was best offer accepted at $390. This one sold for $104. This one was $85, best offer accepted. This one was an auction for the silver foil, or excuse me, the platinum foil example. That one only sold for $114. So I would be, if you're looking for one of the platinum or gold foil editions, don't pay those overinflated prices that are buy it now situations. Wait for another auction like this, and maybe you'll pick one up, because whoever got that one, I think, was a great deal. If you look at the census for this one, there's 56 9.8s for the regular edition. That's this one right here. This is the regular edition. So there's 56 of those on the census right now. And for the gold foil edition, which came out a little bit later, there's only 17 of those. So I would imagine that the gold and the silver are the ones to pick up, or to consider picking up, because the number of available 9.8s on the census right now are pretty slim. Anyway, let's stop the video here and let's cut to my display area over here, and we'll take a look at some of the other 9.8s that I recently picked up, including Prince Xizor's first appearance comic. I've got a bunch of books that I didn't realize that I hadn't shown yet on the channel. A lot of these date back to like early spring that were pre-orders. So keep all that in mind. It's not like I'm buying all of these willy-nilly right now. But I've already shown this one, but I wanted to show it because the next one I'm showing goes with it. But this is the High Republic issue number 1, and this is the 1:10 ratio variant. And this is the first cover appearance of Lorna D, which is, if you guys remember from some of my past videos, she's like the right-hand woman for Marchion Ro, the main villain. So I think I've already shown that one on the channel, but here's the new one I just picked up. This is one of 3 CGC 9.8s as of right now on the census, although I'm sure more will be coming. But this is the Genty variant cover that has Lorna D on the cover, and this is her first full comic book appearance, High Republic number 10. So it just came out. It popped up on eBay for cheap, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and grab that, because this is what I wanted, and I missed when it first was available for pre-order. So really cool cover, and it's nice to have her first comic book cover appearance, and then her first full comic appearance, within the comic. So High Republic number 1, the 1:10, and then High Republic number 10. The Genty variant has her on the cover. There's 2 or 3 different variant covers for it. So that's that one. And I have low light environment going on right now, so hopefully that cuts down a little bit on the glare. If it does not, I apologize. I don't think I've shown this one yet either. This is High Republic number 7. This is the Mike Mayhew variant cover A. This has the trade dress on there with the Star Wars High Republic. There's 3 different covers. I've got the other one, one of the other ones I'll show you in a second. But what's important about this one is that this is the first cover and first interior comic book appearance of a new villain called Darth Krall. And man, does he look awesome. What an awesome looking villain. And so that's the variant cover A, which is the trade dress and the least expensive. I would pick that one up because I think that they've got big plans for him. There's already rumblings and rumors, and very, very heavy rumors, that there's going to be a High Republic movie coming. If you watch it all, there is going to be a High Republic video game called Eclipse coming out that has already been announced here in the last few days. So I think that Lucasfilm or Disney or whatever, they're slowly moving towards a High Republic film. They're setting all the groundwork so people can learn more about the characters and so forth. Anyway, this is Star Wars The High Republic 7, the variant cover B. So I've got the A and the B. There's also a shadow variant, which I do not have. That is a little bit dark, and I don't particularly like that one as much. But that is that. And we'll kind of rotate these out as I go here. This is one that my brother sent me that I don't think I've shown on the channel. He gave me this as a gift. Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha number 1, but this is the IG Comic Store edition. And this is an incredible cover. It's got kind of a Japanese style watercolor to it. If I showed this on the channel already, I apologize, but I don't think I did. But what a beautiful cover. And this is one that has really gone up in value. People seem to really like this cover quite a bit for this one. So what an awesome cover. Thank you again to my brother for an awesome and very unnecessary and generous gift. Now, I know I haven't shown this one yet on the channel. This is one that I've been talking about, and I recommend that people pick it up. This is Star Wars Mace Windu number 5 from December of 2017, an epic cover. But what's important about this book is that this is the first time within Marvel Star Wars canon that we see Ahsoka Tano. So, obviously, Clone Wars number 1 is her first comic book appearance in a CGC 9.8. You are talking $2,700 to $3,000 or more. And I don't have that kind of money to put towards one comic right now. So this is a nice alternative for those of you who like to pick up something Ahsoka Tano related, Ahsoka Tano first comic of some sort. But it's a great cover. It's got Kit Fisto and Mace Windu there. It looks like Obi-Wan, I think, on that cover. But really, really nice cover and a nice alternative. Again, this is the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano within Marvel Star Wars comic book canon. And I think those kind of books have potential. There is a Star Wars Bounty Hunters book with Bo-Katan's first mention within Marvel canon. There's also the Dr. Aphra number 11, which is the reappearance of Dirge. I've covered that one at length. Here is the big boy that we've just got done talking about earlier in the video, but this is the Return of Boba Fett, Star Wars number 81 from March of 1984. I haven't had a chance to show this on the channel yet. I unboxed this when it arrived during the live stream on Only One Kenobi's channel, and Blacked Out Ewoks was on there, Boss Bounty, a few other folks, and this is a really, really nice book. I got this one in an auction, and it has since gone through the stratosphere versus what I paid for it. I've only got this maybe a month and a half or so ago, whenever that live stream was, but what an awesome cover. The Return of Boba Fett. You know, it's kind of turned into a major key with the Book of Boba Fett coming back, and it looks like we're going to have Boba Fett in the Bacta tank. So let's put this one up here because I think you guys would like to see that one. So let's get the Boba Fettish going on there. And then here's the big one. This is the one. I mean, this is the big one, right? The Star Wars 81. That's the priciest of the bunch. But this is the one that I picked up in a Comic Link auction, and this is Shadows of the Empire, number 1, Dark Horse Comics from May of 1996. It's the first comic book appearance of Prince Xizor, the first cover appearance and first cameo of Dash Rendar in comics. And what an epic cover. I got this for $141 on Comic Link. They have this book has gone up 1,100% in terms of units sold this week since we saw Prince Xizor show up in Crimson Reign issue number 1. And a 9.8 just recently sold here for almost $300. Everyone's thinking that with his reappearance, that's Prince Xizor, with his reappearance in Crimson Reign number 1, that it's just a matter of time before we see him in live action content. And that was the logic I used when I bought this a few months ago. I just thought to myself, what villains can they reintroduce? They're already reintroducing Dirge. They've got Bo-Katan, they've got Ahsoka Tano coming back, obviously. What are some other good villains with the Book of Boba Fett coming out? And what better villains than anything crime related, the underworld of Star Wars? Boba Fett specialized in doing bounties for a lot of the criminal underworld world, and the biggest name in the criminal underworld is Prince Xizor, the controller of the Black Sun crime syndicate. And with Crimson Dawn obviously having a major presence within the Solo movie, and with them reintroducing Qi'Ra with Crimson Reign, it just seemed like a no-brainer to pick this one up, and I'm glad I did because it has just gone through the roof since I bought it. But a really awesome book. It's an epic cover anyway, and I didn't particularly care what the price of this thing did when I bought it. It's an absolutely epic cover, and one I think should be in any collection if you're a Star Wars collector. But the price I got it for was just awesome, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book. There's not a lot of these on the census. I can't remember the exact number, but Shadows of the Empire number 1, I think there's less than 120 of these in a 9.8 grade. And it goes down from there pretty dramatically once you get to Shadows of the Empire 2, 3, 4, and 5. And all of those, all 5 of these books have first appearances either of Zuckuss, Forlom, Dash Rendar, Prince Xizor. There is a number of really awesome first appearances in 1 through 5, and I think all 5 of those are worth picking up while they're still cheap. But this one is certainly going to be the most expensive now that Prince Xizor has reappeared within comics in the Marvel canon. But I just thought you guys would like to see some of these epic books. And this is the Outrider, which they made a Power of the Force 2 Dash Rendar Outrider ship that you could buy back in the 1990s or early 2000 era. So it's kind of cool to see that one on the cover. But there is a toy for that Outrider. Anyway, that's all I really had for this video. I know it's a long one, but I thought you'd like to enjoy some of the awesome books that I've picked up and some of the other news that's out there. If you like the video and you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. To all my existing subscribers as well as my Patreon supporters, thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.